Yo, what's good, family? Welcome to another episode of the Late Night Traffic Report with your boy, Mr. Sencere, and
I'm your girl, Kay Callie.
so we're back with another one. Tonight's topic is modern marriages, men versus women priorities. You know, this is a topic that's really trending at the moment because you have a lot of, the boss bitch cultures, you have the hot girl summers,
Hot girl summer.
you have what some may say, the male insecurities.
What do you mean by that?
You also have just what I think appears to be a movement is that I don't need no man and I don't want any kids. It's all about building her legacy.
And what do you think on the flip side? What space do you think that our men are in? Is it that they don't need a woman, or I can have as many women as I can because now more women are at my fingertips with social media, and I have more access. Men have more access to women.
Well, the former, I don't think any man is going around saying that he doesn't need a woman. I haven't heard that. To your point about social media, instant access, yes, that plays into the predicament that we find ourselves in, especially in Black America, right? It's that balance or lack thereof. A lot of sisters going to get educated, getting, leading companies, and not thinking about bearing babies or being submissive to a husband. And I know the word submissive may seem cringeworthy for some,
Probably.
but in a partnership, right, or in a marriage, right, because what marriage is today is very different than marriage was back in the day. It was a very simple concept, right? Marriage was the finish line for you, or not necessarily finish line. It was the goal for you to get married, find your partner, raise some babies, have stability, go on a few trips. That was the life, right? But now, many women are opting to say, hey, why would I get myself locked down at my 20s? That's going to stop me from partying. That's going to stop me from bossing up. That's going to stop me from a variety of different things that we hear women say. And the problem with that is that's having a negative impact on traditional norms as well as gender norms. And I think that, in our community, if we are continuing to battle and we are continuing to be at war, because that's what it kind of seems like, what does that do for the Black culture? What does that do for traditional black families? It really stagnates, and over time, it really erodes the Black concept of a family. Because if you're so focused on building legacy, right, without a family, which I don't quite know how you're going to do that. You can be the biggest boss bitch if you want. Okay, let's say, just for the sake of this conversation, you put in so much work in your profession that you get your name on a building, right? That's major. But you have no descendants, no offspring to really champion that. And at some point, the building is going to get tore down, and so will your name, and you'll be forever. You'll just be a speck in history. So how do we tune it back?
Interesting points. So, but I don't think you really, and I think others will be interested in this too. I don't think you really answered, you talked a lot about what women are prioritizing and how they're not prioritizing traditional marriage. I mean, there's other things that women are prioritizing, but is it that men are out here chasing down women and please marry me, let's get married, and they're turning them down? Like, I can't get married because I'm still in my hot girl summer. What are men doing? I don't think men are in the place either where they're prepared and ready to step up and be the leaders that we need them to be.
That's a very interesting concept, and obviously I'm going to totally disagree. I think the men who are ready to get married, I think the men are marry worthy.
Yeah.
The hot girls and the boss bitches and I'm too hot in my 20s to
Yeah.
be held down.
Mm-hmm.
You avoid those guys.
So they avoid
Women
you.
avoid those guys, or those
Okay.
guys are corny. And that guy can be the same guy that's in your profession, that's in your field, that's growing, climbing corporate America. And you might look at him like as if he's corny.
Okay.
And I think, it's always funny to me when I hear that, women make that statement, oh, it's not that good, many good men out there. What do you all think you do? You think it's a manufacturing company that produces 10 and randomly send them those good brothers across the country, one in Idaho, one in New York,
They probably not sending them to
one in
Idaho.
Florida, one in Utah, one in I just think the
Yeah.
notion is ridiculous.
No, I get what you're saying, but I still think I need to hone back in on my point is I think men are equally not prioritizing marriage either.
I disagree.
What you're saying is that there's this segment of men that are ready or available, but women don't want them. I would have to disagree and say that, I mean, actually I will agree that is true. There are men that have a 9 to 5, have their stuff together, but maybe they don't look, they're not 6 feet. That's one thing that
So,
but
what is a man's response to hot girl summer?
I guess it's what I but
No, no.
I,
Since you're
I
telling,
guess
you're
that's what I'm
speaking for
asking
men,
you.
what
No, I'm not
there is
speaking.
no what I'm saying, not
I
a
guess that's what I'm trying to
not
figure
no,
out.
not a
Yeah.
response, because
Yeah.
men's response to the hot girl summer is have less hot girl summers, which
Mhm.
will prevent you from having lonely girl winters.
Ooh.
That's
Okay.
our response. What I'm asking is, what's the equivalent campaign on the man's side? Hot girl, uh, hot girl summers or whatever. What's the
Yeah.
equivalent on that side?
I guess that's what I'm kind of asking. Like,
No, you spoke very confidently about men are at fault
no,
too.
I asked because I get what you're saying, but I also think, okay, here's the reciprocal. I mean, obviously I'm married. And I've been married, we've been married for a while. So I don't, I'm not in the market and ears to the street as far as what's going on in the dating world. But what I hear is that women feel like they are not a lot of eligible, available, single, heterosexual, obviously, if that's what they're looking for, men that are ready to step up to the plate and be married. Because I know women that are in relationships, long-term relationships, but
So
the men
again,
haven't stepped up to marry them
where
because
do
they're not ready because I don't have all, I don't have a solid, they have a job, but maybe they're not making a lot of money. So it's like I feel like for men, it's I don't know what space the men are in, but they're not. I feel there are a segment of women that just aren't prioritizing, but I feel like it's a segment of women that aren't having hot girl summers. They're in the house, staying out the way because they are tired of dating, tired of the same, failures, the same.
well, those women need to come out there and just as
Yeah,
equally as the hot girl
yeah, because
summers
all
and
women aren't.
boss bitches, they're leading
Mm-hmm.
for your sex right now. They are the blueprint, not the blueprint. They are the mascots for
Mm-hmm.
women now. And again, I laugh every time I hear a woman say what you said about there's a shortage of great men right now. Yes, hands down, there's a shortage of good men,
Yeah.
great men, right? But they're out there. You all are overlooking them
Okay.
intentionally, right? And I think the problem is if you want to have open, honest dialogue about it, there's some fault or some blame on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that I think the majority, and I'm not biased because I'm a man, I'm just saying what I see, whether I'm talking to, you know, um, young female relatives, co-workers, associates, acquaintances, or whatever. You all are looking for the most interesting man in the world, and it's not enough of them. That's why I said the most interesting man in the world. I think women have very unrealistic expectations that then influence their priorities. Like back in the day, and look, I don't, I mean, obviously you work and you have a very successful career as well as I do. So I'm not one of those guys that believe you should be in the kitchen bare feet and pregnant, right? You went to school. My philosophy is, fuck you go to school for if you ain't gonna use that education. So I'm all for the ladies to get educated and go into the workforce.
Okay.
But there is a balance, right? There's a balance. And there can't be two captains of the team. I think a lot of women, or I'm not, because I don't want to speak in absolutes, but I think women these days, especially the women that are in corporate America or entrepreneurs, excuse me, and they make money and they have their way. I think that there's a false sense of where or who should be able to lead between the man and the woman, right? And yeah, look, there's some bitch ass niggas out. Yeah, I got to say that again. There are some, right? But I think like, where's the balance? You can be a boss bitch and still be a great wife. You
Yeah.
can be a boss bitch and say, hey, I look for my husband to lead. You can be these things, but I think sometimes, or we're in a society now where, women are hyperly aggressive, right? And it gives them this false sense of authority, I think, because just because you make more than a man, that doesn't make you a man, right? And, you and I have talked about this several times. I think for all the brothers out there, if you do have a woman that make more money than you, and this is not the case in my situation, so I'm not saying that because of that. What I'm saying, that's facts. What I'm saying
I mean,
is,
but I don't think that was necessarily relevant.
it is because they may be like,
It's
hey,
not, but you did it for
it'd be
your
like,
own edification.
she make more money than him. But no, listen,
The point is, you guys will never know.
no. But even if you did,
It doesn't.
and we talk about this, right?
Yeah,
I
it
think
doesn't matter.
I think when you're building, right, and I want everybody to really focus on building, right? Building and having partnerships, right?
Yeah.
If you're educated and I'm educated, there's a high probability at some point you might make more money than I do. I might make more money than you do. It really depends on our professions, right? And if you're in a high grossing profession like we both are, then
Yeah.
it can fluctuate, right? So my point is this. I do think there are some male insecurities or some men that's insecure when they're a wife or they're dating someone who makes more money than them. My philosophy is, why are you mad because she makes more money than you? I would only be mad when I don't have access to that money.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that, but I think for men, it comes back to men traditionally being the providers and being seen as the providers. I think that's why some men might have a problem with that because they equal, the amount of money or making the money as providing. But you can provide in different ways.
I also think that's like a mechanism to have control,
It also goes back.
at least traditionally.
It goes back to control. And then I think the other thing that men, as far as the money divide, is a lot of times, well, sometimes, I won't say a lot of times, women that make more money than men sometimes, they don't treat that man with the same level of respect. Men feel anyway. So they feel like at that point, I make more money than you. So now I'm getting ready to, like, they're almost like now the tables and the gender roles now reverse because, he who,
It's a tug of
carries
war.
the purse strings. Exactly. It's actually a tug of war as between, and it becomes a tug of war somewhat within your marriage. But I think what you need to do is you need to have those conversations and have those conversations actually early in your relationship, even probably before you get married, about finances and how you both look at finances and earnings and things like that. Because some women might think that, hey, when I get married, I don't have to work as much. When I get pregnant, when I have a baby, I can stay at home, or I'm gonna stay at home. I want to stay at home for 2 years until the child, or till we put the child in daycare. Those types of things. I think you need to really discuss those things. But I want to pivot because I know you're going to say something else because I know you have a lot to say. But let's talk about submission. Because you talked about submission earlier in the conversation, and you talked about women being submissive to men. But I really want to explore the notion that submission is not bad, because in anything, anything that you want to build from, gain from, and to come together, you have to submit in a way. You submit to a lot of things, honestly.
Being
You know,
disciplined.
and I think we have to lay it out, and we would be remiss if we don't leave our listeners with this nugget, is that it's not just about women being submissive to men, it's about us being submissive to each other.
Facts. I agree.
So definitely just
I
wanted to
agree.
kind of lay that out, because I think it's so much we hear about how, and I think, women, I know we hate that. So that's why also I had to come back and bring that around. But I also, being married for the time that we have, I think when you don't submit to each other, you struggle more.
Yeah.
You struggle a lot more when you
Because there's a
don't.
lot of tension and conflict.
Exactly. Exactly. And submit doesn't mean you let someone walk over you at all. But I think it's submission, but also, and it's not the exact same meaning, but also a really big word and theme for me within marriage is um, compromise. You know, I think that's huge, and I think in order to grow, be successful, and grow in your marriage, you really have to be willing to compromise, and that submission is really
In communication.
communication. Communication probably is one of the biggest, the
But
biggest keys.
I love what you just said, but let's kind of steer it back to what our
Yeah,
topic was.
yeah,
I think blurred gender roles
yeah,
lead to blurred expectations.
sure, yeah, yeah.
And I think that let's just keep it a buck, right? I think a lot of women, like when you think about kids, a lot of the modern day women that's in their careers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, back when we were growing up, or maybe not our generation either, because it's a whole nother show. Uh, but our big mamas and our great grandmothers and
Mm-hmm.
grandmothers, and look, I understand. Look, those are generational differences and all that. But I think a lot of women now, especially if they're in corporate America or just being entrepreneurs or what have you, making their own way, because women do come to the table with a lot more than back in the day, right? For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But that still shouldn't reduce your femininity. That still shouldn't reduce your desire to fulfill life. And what I mean by fulfilling life is to have that nucleus, that structure, that
Mm-hmm.
stability. And now, women, modern women are really screaming two things, right? I don't want no fucking kids and I don't need no man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where do we go from that if that's the sentiment
Well,
in today's society?
I think studies and statistics have shown that marriage is on the decline, and also, people having kids is equally on the decline, and for various reasons. But I think it's the way marriage these days are viewed. Also there's different forms of relationships, that are becoming more popular, and I think those things kind of um, I won't say devalue, but it gives the traditional marriage not a different feel, but it brings it almost like to, I guess I will say in some ways it somewhat makes it less attractive.
Blurred,
Bec-
blurred,
bec-
blurred
because you have
roles
all these other
leads
options,
to
like
blurred expectations.
I can not only can I have, one man, or not only can I have one woman, I can have two, and we can live together and we can split the bills. And then she can cook while I'm at work, and then I can. it's we have all these things now. It's just we're honestly what's the real problem, I think, is we have, taken spirituality and God out of our homes
Homes
and our
and
marriage,
hearts.
and we're
Yeah.
now being opened up and exposed to so much more. We're
So
letting so much more temptation and everything, creep in.
so what I was saying was about, women saying, I don't want any fucking kids, I don't want to be married, I don't need no man, I don't need all that.
Yeah.
I think, women at one time, once upon a time, even though yes, as far as, liberties and things that they could do were limited, right? And the expectations was different because it was
Yeah,
a
we had
different
to
time.
fight for equality for
Yeah,
a lot of
but y'all
things.
didn't do that by yourself.
We didn't, but we had to.
Men was right. So let's don't get on that because that's a whole nother show
I didn't
too.
say we did it by ourselves,
Because
but I
I
said
mean,
we had
really,
to do
everything
it.
that you all enjoy came from a fucking man. Like we, but I don't even want to go there.
But it's
'Cause
not
I want
about
people to come from.
opposition. It's about we did and
But you
things that women did. We helped you guys build, and the
absolutely.
backbone of every successful man
So
is
that shows why there needs to always be a union.
exactly.
But I
Exactly.
think that what I was saying is, I think a lot of modern day women, with the expectations or lack thereof, from a marital perspective, is why do it? I'm a
Yeah.
boss bitch.
Yeah.
I'm having my way. Being submissive or getting into a marriage, it isn't the modern day woman dream anymore. It's a nightmare for them, actually, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
The priorities for
Yeah.
modern day women is career, travel, and freedom. And where does marriage fit in that?
Yeah.
Modern day women are creating a new norm. And I think that, we need each other. Men and women need each other. And the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is, and I've said this before, like especially in the black community, the more boss bitches we have, the more women that are electing to have or participate in hot
Mm-hmm.
girl summers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that do to the black community and the black race if these women never settle down? You said something earlier about procreating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, we're not having babies as much as we used to. And when we do have babies, they're biracial, and I have nothing against biracial, blended, whatever the technical term is. Please don't come for me. But what I'm saying is, all of these concepts and these new norms negatively impact the black community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when we strip out what was traditional to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every generation that opts out of being married, right? Because we're not promoting fucking and having kids. We're promoting having kids in a blissful marriage. So I just want to level set and let everybody know what I'm saying. But if you don't have any union, you don't have the marriage, then there's no kids that come from that. In 30, 50 years, the black community is going to look really, really
It'll look
different.
different.
And I keep saying this
Mm-hmm.
every chance I get. We're going to become a sub race, a subculture. Maybe not in 30 years, maybe not in 50, but 100 if we keep it up this. If every girl, if every woman, young woman want to be in Ibiza or at Yacht Week, shaking her ass and having all these hot girl summers, having all this free time, just having a good time, and you're missing your opportunity to get that brother that's on the up and up because you're in Ibiza shaking your ass or in Jamaica going down one of those mud chutes,
Oh,
having
then
the
when they
having the
do
guy
the,
play
they
play
put the sand,
Congo
they
on your
rub it all down
ass.
your body.
Yeah, all that, right? Hot girl summers.
Yeah.
See, Neil is back on campus or whatever, going through summer school, right?
He's going to summer. Okay.
He's continuing. He's
So
honing.
Neil,
Let me finish.
Neil's is holding it down
No, what I'm saying
while the
is,
ladies off in hot
while
girl
you
summer.
off having a
Okay.
hot girl summer,
Mm-hmm.
Neil is perfecting his craft, honing his skill.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this is the problem that I have with sisters. Don't get mad when a
When
snow bunny.
Neil gonna get
Yeah,
Becky.
don't do that. Don't get mad.
Okay. Okay.
When
But
he go outside of the race, because I will yield the mic to you. Just let me make this last point.
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
I think there's something that we need to really address in our community, right? we're looking at things from two totally different perspectives. And we have, perhaps on both sides, very unrealistic expectations on both, right? But we're not even close. It's almost like we all talk about love and union and relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but the execution piece or the tactical piece of it, how we go about doing it, is very
Yeah.
different. And it's almost like we're not playing the same game. Hell, we're not even on the same field.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think we need to figure out how we get back together. Because I think some of the things you talked about as far as what will happen to, our community if we don't start to kind of come back together is probably not where we want to be to grow as a community. But to your another point that you made earlier, I think women are not one reason why I think women aren't prioritizing uh, marriage the way maybe our mothers and grandmothers did is more because there's different opportunities. So we have different opportunities to go to school, do things, and make our own careers um, that weren't always afforded to other generations. But then I think it's also what we saw. We saw our mothers, grandmothers be in these committed, devoted relationships, holding grandpa down and still get cheated on.
Look, that's a fair point.
You know?
And but
So I think, well, hold on, let me, and so I think that it makes us, and the other thing I think it just gives us a different perspective. I don't think that's what, I do
I
think
don't think
if
that's what the masses of women are. Why are they saying they don't
no,
want to be
it's not the
married?
masses. It's more about I hate to keep bringing up social media because obviously we're all going to be on social media, but I think it's a lot. It's like so much at your fingertips. You see the girls at Yacht Week. You see, but you see the bros going to Brazil. The passport bros too. You see a lot of different things. You see people
Do you think there's any
enjoying
relation between the two?
what the passport bros
Yacht Week,
and passport bros
Ibiza, Jamaica,
and
Cancun, Tulum, all the
and the
places, the
pass.
hotspot,
Oh,
and the passport bros.
um, any relationship between those two? I mean, it's
I think
maybe. I don't
personally, I
know.
think it proves the point that we're talking about.
Okay.
Y'all not fucking with us, and we not fucking with you. Both of those examples show that we're
So,
going elsewhere instead of focusing on and locking
hmm
in our community. We'd rather go elsewhere where to seek something. I think, like, for
yeah.
men, I think for a lot of men, if I was a single younger man in today's society, right?
Okay.
e- There's really a question, you know, why at this point, right? If you meet a shorty that you like, you're interested in her, y'all have good conversation, but she doesn't want to get married, she doesn't want to have kids. And, again, even though maybe some of my views align more with traditional perspectives, right? Or approaches.
hmm
But I think for a man, marriage really stands out to one thing for us, and that's legacy.
Legacy.
And if we ain't doing that, what the fuck we doing it for?
So
You know what I
you.
mean? So what if we're not building a family, or if we're not, thinking long term and having juniors and and things of that nature,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what's the purpose? Then with these relationships, you are roommates with rings. Neither one of you wanna do the things that you need to do to sustain and build the family
Build
legacy.
legacy. What do you think? Okay, so in that scenario, they get married, but they don't want to. The
Yeah.
woman doesn't want to
I
have
mean, because
kids.
I think that's a sub layer of what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Even the women and men, to be fair, that concede, hey, we're going to have this contract,
Mm-hmm.
i.e.,
Uh huh.
or e.g., marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
but we're not going to live any of the traditional norms of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're married, we're married, but we got these rings, but we're just roommates, and so I think there's additional complexities to the state that we find ourselves in,
Yeah.
and you're going to argue for the women. I'm going to argue. Well, we're not arguing. We're just giving our point,
It's
our
perspective.
perspectives,
It's perspective.
right? And the things that we do know, because we have to acknowledge that the disclaimer is we're not out here, right? We see it. We mentor younger people. We talk to younger
We're just
people.
talking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, even if you're not in it or living it, we have been there. So I want to kind of go back to something,
Okay.
and I would hope you agree with this. Women, your 20s is your most valuable decade, I guess, right? It's that
For expound.
because at the end of the day, when you're in your 20s, you have your youth working for you.
Yeah.
You may not have your virtue 100% intact, but let's just hope it's not.
But what you mean is I think where you're going is that for women, our youth is deemed
It's
as our
look, it's
commodity,
a simple
society
it's a simple equation.
wise.
Men, we build it. Women, you lose it. And what I'm
Mhm.
saying is, take a couple hot girl summers off,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And find someone who's in the state that he's building, or perhaps he's already established, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if you squander your 20s, right, you start to get hardened. And what I mean by hardened is you start to get into your ways.
Mhm.
In your philosophies, no matter how detrimental they may be
Mhm.
to your desired outcome, you can't see it. You kind of double down on that. And
Mhm.
you got to think about it from the opposite sex perspective. Men, we want to afford or offer experiences and opportunities. We want to be the first.
Mhm.
10 years is a long time. 10 hot girl summers, you'd have did a whole lot of shit.
Went on a lot of trips.
You'd have did a whole lot of shit
Okay.
and a whole lot of dicks. And it's a whole lot of, did a whole lot of tricks. You know what I mean? So,
But so have men on the flip side too.
but see, I'm gonna quote Betty Wright. And that's what y'all asked me. All these nut ass artists out here telling y'all that it's cool to do all this hot girl shit and all that nut shit. Y'all need Betty Wrights.
Oh.
Women, y'all can't do it like men do it because you're gonna be judged differently. That's just facts.
I get that.
Sorry.
But we still have to, because we're a fair and balanced podcast here, is that men are doing the same thing. And that's what I was kind of getting to earlier. While women are out here, and that's why I brought up the passport bros too. While women are out in Ibiza, Jamaica, and all these places, all the men aren't back on the college campus
But the difference I think you don't
studying
understand
or at work.
but the thing you don't understand is men imprint on women.
I
Women
understand,
don't imprint on men.
I understand all that, but let me ask you this.
And that's a lot of imprinting, all them hot girl summers.
I understand that, but let me ask you this. Have we ever stopped to ask ourselves, maybe maybe people just don't want to get married anymore?
Obviously, I mean, it's a choice that you made. It's a choice that I
So
made.
it's not
It's
for
a choice
everyone.
It's a choice that we make every day,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even when you marry, you
Yeah.
wake up and look on the other side of the
You make a
bed
choice.
and you
Love is a
decide.
choice.
You
Yeah.
decide every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if everybody, if nobody wants to be married, where do we go?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
Like
that's true.
everybody has it. Look, it's your prerogative. You do what you do at your discretion, right? Make the choices you want to make.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that what does that do? What does that do to the family structure?
What to do with it? Yeah. For our family structure, for
What
our
does it do to
community,
legacy?
legacy. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at some point, we all have to align and get on the same page, right? And all I'm saying is this, like, men, there's some improvement to do. There's an opportunity for improvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think women, there's an opportunity for improvement.
Yeah.
I think that we need to stop pointing the finger and start getting to solutions.
Yeah.
You can't make these blanket statements about men. Not talking about you. I'm just saying, like, when women say,
Mm-hmm.
ain't no good men out there, men ain't shit, I don't need a man. It- Need is a very interesting word,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? So when you say you don't need this or you don't need that, and I really think it comes down to personal gratification, because there are some women that are perfectly fine
Mm-hmm. That
without having a man in
that
their life.
don't. Yeah. Yeah.
They probably, eating box, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But maybe there are even a lot of a small demographic of women that are heterosexual, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
and like men, but are fine, like Tracy Ellis Ross.
Mm.
She says she's fine.
That's what she said.
She says she's fine.
Mhm.
Um,
And I mean, I'm sure if she wanted it to be different, she could. She has
but
options,
you know what though?
even at her beautiful age.
But see, I think the problem is what I said is if you continuously do something, you get stuck in your ways. And I
Yeah.
think that's her.
Well,
I think,
I think that's can be.
the thing that she's looking for, the person, the individual
That's
that she's
human,
looking
though.
for,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist, but is she gonna be willing to compromise? Is she's
Hmm.
gonna be willing, because she's been the pilot, right? She's been the captain of her ship for so long.
Hmm.
Would she be willing to be a co-captain, or hell, even a first lieutenant? I mean, these are things that you have to say.
Yeah,
Like, marriage is about partnership, right?
I
And
think now
everybody
it
talks
is.
about, playing your position.
Hmm.
And, women get offended by this statement when you talk about submission and, you know, relationships, like, why I got to submit to him? Because at the end of the day, real rap is, at some point when the fucking storm comes, somebody's going to have to steer the ship. Somebody's going to have to take the lead. Somebody's going to have to provide the direction,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't make you, as a woman, conceding or supporting that notion. That doesn't make you less than a woman,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's the problem. How do I turn my independence? Why would I want to surrender my independence for lock and chain, or
But what they
you know what
might
I'm saying?
view as
They
that,
they
right?
that's how, because that's how they look at it, right? It's clearly it's not appeasing to
Hmm.
them anymore, because when you hear women, they go all these things like, why would I do that? Why would I be submissive? Why would I listen to this? Why would I do this? It's like getting your freedom and feeling like by entering a union or a marriage, you're surrendering that freedom, and that's not the case. You and I
Yeah.
have been married. You're free to come and go as you please and do what you
Hmm.
want to do. And
Hmm.
I think it goes back to, yeah, because I mean, we're married. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not your fucking owner, like, in that
Mhm.
sense, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a choice, but I think it goes
Right.
back to what we said
And it's
earlier.
about respect
It's
too.
about respect, it's about communication, it's
Hmm.
about discipline.
Hmm.
We all think things in our mind as married people, whether you want to admit it or not. We all have probably impure thoughts about
Hmm.
whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, it doesn't have to be whatever it is, but we all think these things. But it's the discipline
Hmm.
and the surrendering, right?
Hmm.
Because we know about being submissive and surrendering if you're a believer.
Right.
That's what religion is. That's
Yeah,
what faith is. You know what I mean?
that's about submission.
So why is it such a difficult concept to comprehend in the context of having a marriage or a union with somebody?
Yeah. I think it's society. I think society has really put certain impressions in our mind about women, about what we, I do have to say that women, we have achieved and have overcome a lot. We've, cracked, put a small dent in the glass ceiling. And I think we really are at a place now where we have to figure out, like you said, do we want to keep focusing and shattering that glass ceiling, or do we want to balance that and focus more on building legacy, getting married? And I will, in today's society, the question is, I think some women don't feel like we can have both. Like we can have that career, we can, climb the corporate ladder, or we can only go so far in the ladder if we're also a mom, a wife, because all of those are big demands on us within a family and a household structure. And then we all also have these big demands. And in the workplace, that's why you see a lot of times you see men climb that ladder a lot faster. Why? Because traditionally, they don't have to be like, oh, I got to go home because I got to make, Billy something to eat. I got to be there when he gets off the bus. In traditional roles, that role, that responsibility will fall on the mom, not necessarily the man. But one other thing I want to mention too, we talked about gender norms and gender roles and the shifting and the tug of war. I think also some of what's at play for women, as to why you see the more what you said and what others say, the more aggressive and assertive behavior from women. Let's also talk about the behaviors that we're seeing from men these days, where we don't see men stepping up and being the, you know, hey, I'll go out and change your tire. I'll go out and I'll go take out the trash. It's like, no, you take. I actually know a situation where some of the men say, I'm not taking out the trash. I'm not doing that. But he said, I didn't put that trash. That's not my trash.
Well,
that's your trash. So
well,
you need to take it out. So what I'm saying is, really, but hold on. So we
let's
really
compare apples to apples.
we
and
have to
oranges
talk
also.
about how
Clearly, that's not a man. And I thought on this show, when
we are, but we
our
also
demographics, we're talking to the real men and real women.
okay. But now we're
and
saying
the youth that's trying
so
to
let's
learn.
talk about the real women. Let's not bring those hot girl summer women in then, because those aren't the real women either. If we have to do that, we gotta take the hot girl.
She said that. I didn't say that. So come for her.
What?
I don't necessarily think they're equivalent. So like if you talk about the tug of war and gender roles, like
you know what I'm. But you're
yes, there's
you're-
exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule.
Okay.
But I think you would at least acknowledge that the majority of those situations, the man takes out the trash. The man will cut the grass.
Yeah.
The man will pump the gas.
I use
the
very
man will wash the car.
trivial examples.
What I'm saying
but hold
is,
on. What I've used very trivial examples, but what I mean is a younger generation of men that are being raised today.
Well, most are being raised by young women.
So
if they bitch ass niggas, then hey.
So we're not raising the men.
Shoes fit, put the motherfuckers on.
We're not raising the men that are going to stand up to the plate and are going to be these strong men that women are even going to want to marry.
Yes, I think that's part of the problem, but I also think, and all conversations kind of lead back to this dreaded word, equality, right? Equality. And I think in the pursuit of equality, that blurs the lines as far as gender roles.
Okay.
I think that a lot of women, well, you talked about this sort of early. I think that, the word submission, and I think a lot of women may look at it and say, well, men don't submit. Men don't have to consider all these things, so why should we?
Yeah.
But I disagree because men do submit. I think it's an equal, or both parties submit equally to one another when you come together to have a marriage.
Marriage is about submission.
Because men, independent on that man's station in life, that man has a lot of options, right? And I know a lot of people don't like Kevin Samuels, but one thing Kevin Samuels said that I'm going to say, and I kind of agree, when you talk about the so-called high value man, this man has a lot of options, but he's committed and he's in complete submission to his wife because he is disciplined not enough not to act on the options that's before him, right? So I think when women, from an equality perspective, when they start to make the money, when they rise in corporate America, when they reach a certain station in life, they look around and, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think especially in the Black community, I think a lot of that is intentional. And we've talked about this before, right? So when you see those women who are relatively successful, they say, well, there are no good brothers. There are no, men in my caliber or in my tax bracket, all that tough talk and shit they say. I think that it's also kind of intentional, right? And what I mean by that is, a woman that's leading a Fortune 50, Fortune 500 would have you company, right? If she can't get past this money, then when she looks around, then if she's a CEO or just say an executive, right? When she looks around, there's not a lot of familiar faces or similar faces for her, right? If she's in the C-suite, the it's very likely that the majority of that C-suite is others, right? It's not her. So if you can't take that, right, and understand that, hey, this is the playing field that I'm playing in from a corporate perspective. They try to come and enter with that same philosophy in the dating market. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you're at a certain level, and women are leading companies these days, but then when you look around, especially looking for a brother to look like you, that's very far and in between. And I think that a lot of women that find themselves in that space, then they look, if that man is not making equivalent to what she is, or he doesn't have the visibility or the status that she does, that would be considered dating down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But, and I think too, women that are in that space that you're describing, they're probably come to a place where they accept it because they probably, and
But why do
obviously
you have to
they
accept it?
prioritize. It's back to what I said. They prioritize their career over marriage, and they're going to be really successful in their career, and they're doing it. But then on the flip side, their love life is
So it's a
probably
sacrifice they make.
It's a sacrifice.
So then you can't say if there are no good men out there. You can't say that. And I guess what I was really trying to drive
it's the time.
home,
It goes back to the timing of what you said. If they're now 40, 50 years old and now thinking like, hey, I want to, and then the other thing is, it's not that you can't get a man. I think what happens with all of
you about
us,
to prove my point.
we don't change our outlook or what we're looking for.
Your expectation, your checklist.
We think we keep the same checklist from years past when we kind of got to adjust that. And men do too, believe it or
But
believe it or not.
a severely used car don't get the same. It's not valued the same price as it was brand new.
What
A
was
severely worn.
Who's a used car?
Well, at that point, if you're 40-some years old, you've used. You
Okay.
can't get full price. And what I thought you was going to say is,
Oh, of course you didn't think I was going to say that.
well, you don't have to. But in essence, that's what you're saying. I think at some point, that's why I said earlier, like the older you get, you double down in your ways. And what I'm saying is you can't scream and say there's no men available. It's just no men available. Two things. There's no men available that you feel that you want, that actually
Yeah.
wants you, and
Right.
then all the men that are available, you look down and think they're beneath you.
Right.
So you
Right.
can't have
So
it both ways.
I think I think we all have to take good self evaluations and get self inventory. Um, if we're looking to date, I think but I think the other thing when we're, it's a little bit getting off topic, but I think the biggest thing that we have to do when people are looking to date is we have to make sure we're healthy on the inside, that our mental health is in
Mentally,
check,
emotionally, physically,
emotionally, that we're
yes.
stable, because you'd be surprised how when you're loving you, how who you attract back to you, you know?
Facts.
And I think a lot of times we're coming from places of hurt, rejection. If you're that executive that you describe, if they're really, have rose up, they're a C-suite executive, they're a CEO, owning their own company or whatever, they had to go through a lot to get there and a lot of sacrifice to get there. So they may not, in the end, their social skills and how they interact and the vibe that they give off when they're, you know, sitting at a restaurant or sitting at a bar, they're probably the brothers or the guys, regardless, not just brothers, or may not be flocking to come because your energy may be in a different
Yeah, that
space.
boss bitch energy. You don't know when to
So you
turn it
might
off.
you may not
You don't
seem
know when to
as
turn it off.
approachable,
Yeah.
So I say all of that too. You just have to, and you really have to, and it's tough, especially as you get older. And I think that's what you're referring to. Is like you have to be really honest with yourself, be really reflective, and say like, okay, what can I do differently, and not always think, oh, it's not good men, it's not good this, but it's like, what am I doing?
So
Or what could I do differently? It's not that anything is wrong with you. It's just too like if you've been working a lot and really out of the dating market, or you were married for 20 years and now you're getting back out there, things have changed, so you have to, kind of do a little bit of self inventory, a little research, and figure out, really the biggest thing is really what you want.
so the conversation has been really, really
Really
good
good,
tonight.
really
Yeah.
good.
And we kind of deviated a little bit, but I think
It's a
we
conversation.
course correct and got the plane back on this path.
Ambo,
What I want to do though
what
is
you want to do?
what would you tell those young women or middle-aged women, or just let's just say those women that
I'm
say
not
that
sure I'm
saying
qualified for that, but
no,
okay.
well, I mean,
I'm just saying, go ahead.
it's your opinion, right?
Yeah.
That's what we give.
Yeah.
It's our POV, right?
Yeah.
But being someone who prioritize finding your person in your 20s,
Yeah.
because you could have been out here later on in life lost looking for, you know what I mean?
Maybe, maybe not, but
Yeah,
okay.
well, you don't know. You,
You don't know.
you attach your wagon to someone
We're
that was going places.
we're
So
both, and so did you.
yeah, but I'm a
So
man though.
we're both happy that we found each other.
I'm glad that
And let
I'm glad that I'm not single for very different reasons than you are.
Man, what is that supposed to mean?
I mean, because it's different situations.
Okay. Ask me the question.
You being single at the age we are, and myself being single at the age
Ask me
I
the
am,
question.
I can pay to play and do all type of other things. You know what I mean?
Ask me the
But
question.
anyway, so what I want to ask you is, how or what would you say to young women,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
who are not so sold on being a wife
Yeah.
and building a family because they think they have to do it at the expense of sacrificing who they are, who they envision themselves to become?
Yeah. Well, I think first you need to pray about it and pray for the discernment to find the right person, because I think it all comes down to connecting and being with the right spouse. Because some of the things that people are fearful of, or how marriage gets a bad rap, it's because you've aligned with the wrong person, or the wrong person, or maybe the right person, but at the wrong timing in their life. You know. So
Yeah, that happens.
I think praying for the discernment that if you do find that person, even if you are getting ready to, you're still in your hot girl summer era, but
Don't have too many of those.
but you come across Neil while you're at the grocery store, or I don't know, somewhere, and you take a moment to talk to him, have that conversation, and he may only be 5'9", but talk to him, get to know his character, you know. And I encourage men to do the same thing too, you know. But I think for women, we're sticking on just, I'm speaking to women. So I would say pray for the discernment to be able to receive the person that God
Your
might,
person.
your person that
Yeah.
God might send to you, because I do think sometimes we are sent people, but if it doesn't look like the picture that we put on the vision board, you know, um, we miss them. So I think that. I think also, don't think that you can still have a career and be married and be happily married. I think you just have to, again, align with the right person. Marriage is a partnership. So in these days, depending on what type of lifestyle and things that you want in life, you know, and if you want kids and things like that, that one person income is may not be the way, you know, that you might want to go with your family. So more than likely you will have a dual earning family where, you know, so but I think it's all about balance. Even though, you know, you both might be working, but when it comes down to it, family, you have to prioritize your family first. You know, that jobs will come and go, especially if it's not your own business.
Yep.
They'll let you go in a heartbeat,
Yep.
lay you off, whatever. When it comes back, you know, when it comes down to it, all you have is each other. So you have to have someone. So I saw something online, actually today, where it said, the person said, marry someone that you want to have bad days with. And I think that is very prolific, because it's all good when when you're just, even if you're in a relationship, it's good when you're having good times, you're going on trips, going to dinner, going to see a movie. But life's a lot. And the older you get, the more experiences you have, the more you align your family finances and all that stuff. Things happen,
Yeah.
and you can't control them. So you have to, you're picking your person. Granted, you know, you do it earlier, you may not have as much. That's why I say you have to pray for the discernment, because you pick that man in your 20s, 30s that's going to help you, guide you through some of the toughest situations that you might end up going through in your 50s and, you know, 40s and 50s, life altering situations that I know we all have, you know, experienced, or if we haven't experienced, we will experience. So that's your person that you're going to pick, that's, you know, is going to help you navigate some of the most difficult things, you know, in your life. So I would just say, number one thing for me, I would say, just, you know, pray for discernment. What would you say to men?
No, I want to tell a lady something.
Oh, you got something for ladies? Of course you do.
It's just really simple.
Simple.
The more hot girl summers lead to more lonely girl winters. Just think about that.
Yeah. Okay.
For the men, I think it's simple. I think men, especially young men, before they settle in their way,
Mm-hmm.
you can't want more than you're willing to give.
Mm.
And actually, that's a gem for both men and women. I think now there's an unrealistic expectation on both sides
Mm-hmm.
of what a wife should maybe look like and what a husband should look like.
Yeah.
And I've said this all the time because I'm consistent in my messaging. You can't get more than what you qualify for.
Mm.
And I think when both sides take a step back and really, really understand what that means.
Yeah, and I think that
Because, hold on,
yeah, you.
because I think that to your point earlier, we live in an instantaneous
Mm-hmm.
society.
Yeah.
We can be in any part of the world that we want to be instantly at our fingertips. And I think a lot of times people get lost in these ultra realities.
Yeah.
And, we talk about this all the time. Just shutting your phone down, your computer down, whatever device you may have. Just disconnect for a little bit
Yeah.
and operate in the real world. One of the things that I'm most thankful for, that I'm an 80s baby and that we grew up in the 90s. And these kids these days may be like, well, you were just a local ass nigga because you only knew what you could walk to or see down the street. But I am so thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I am so thankful for that. When we were teenagers and in our early 20s, you had to actually talk to a female. You had to walk up to a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And have game and talk to her.
And we didn't have to worry about the stuff we did in our teenage years ending up on social
Right,
media.
that too. But what I'm saying is, I think now, like, what social media has done and technology has done, or did, excuse me, I think it made all of us overly superficial and
Mm-hmm.
out of touch with reality in its most
Yeah.
simplest form, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody's a bad bitch, everybody's a high value man. Um, there's men eaters, there's woman eaters, there's the red pillers, it's all these different movements, let's just say that had so much influence and impact on our youth. And unfortunately, even some of our middle age 40s and 50s,
Mm-hmm.
they've kind of plugged in, right? And it's so jaded right now. No one wants to really come to the table and have an open conversation and say, listen, I have flaws, you have flaws, my shit stink just like yours.
Yeah.
It's all the pointing. No, black men are this. No, black women are that. No, I don't need no man. I don't need no, I'm not messing with black women anymore. All these different narratives floating around. And I call them campaigns because I do think it's spun up intentionally
Yeah.
to cause division, right?
Within our community, I do.
Within our community. And we've always been a willing participant for nut dumb shit in our community. And I just think now, like, the time is now. Where do we see ourselves in the next 50 years as a community, right? Because if we keep pointing the finger and, pretty much eroding love, black love at this point,
Mm.
right? And there's phenomenal stories. There's positive stories about black love. So I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is if we have all these generation, all the babies, all these younger people saying, I'm gonna check out a marriage, I'm gonna check out a procreating after you become married. So we're not talking about having fucking and having babies out of wedlock. We're always talking about having babies the right way. But if they're no longer interested in that and everybody's focused on legacy,
Mm-hmm.
in order to have legacy, you gotta have family to carry it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where do we go from there? And I just think, for young men, be open, right? Be open and be honest with yourself. That's number one. Knowing who you are, right? Not pretending. Understanding what your purpose is.
Mm.
And what you need to do is you need to find a young lady that's willing to invest in you and your purpose. and you have to equally do the same thing because women have purpose too. And purpose is not being, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, taking care of kids.
Right.
Again, I'm a firm believer if we're both in college and getting higher education, then 2 plates at the table is always better than one from a financial perspective. But you got to have that balance. You got to have that balance, and you have to pour into each other. So, final thought that I would say is don't give up,
Don't give up.
right? Dig a little bit deeper, have patience,
Yeah.
have understanding, and don't be afraid to see one another because it is attack. There are attacks on our black men and our black women.
Mm.
And what I would love for us to do as a community, not be an instigator and not willingly participate in the narrative that we hate each other or we can't see eye to eye.
Mm.
Because I want you all to understand and listen. There is an intention, it's intentional that this narrative is being spread. It just is. And, we'll talk about that on another show. But that's all I have to say.
That's what you got. Okay. Yeah, good messages, good content, good convo.
Yeah, for sure. So love in 2025. I think marriage is still the goal, but we both have to come to the table and have an open conversation and dialogue.
I think one thing, and I know we were rapping, but I think another thing, and I think we have the opportunities as we have, children and start to build our families. I think we have the opportunity to change this narrative. I think we have to start within our homes, talking to our children about marriage and what they should be looking for, obviously at age appropriate times, right? But, obviously is them seeing marriage is one thing, but I think it's also, so we talked about, women and how they prioritize or don't prioritize or prioritize later. I think a lot of that comes from just the narrative that we were told as young women. Go get your education, go take care of yourself. But it was never go to college and find a husband. But there are some races that I've heard, they're geared and told to kind of push and steered rather in a direction of picking a college, not necessarily for the best academic career, but to meet someone. You meet that person in college, y'all get married, you may or not even use your degree.
Yeah.
But now you used your degree to get your husband. But is that the right thing to do? I don't know. But what I do think we do need to do is start having conversations in our homes with our children about what that should look like, what type of spouse they should pick, and what values that person should have, what qualities, Obviously they'll, want to look and find someone that, a wife that hopefully is like their mother, and a husband that treats their mother how you would want to be treated. But
and I think that's the best example.
I think it is.
Yes, I think that's the best example, right? Because having boys, they're going to go out in the world and be somewhat replicas of what they saw, right?
In some way. Yeah.
And, that's why I do think that gender roles are important, right? Mm-hmm. And they should not be blurred or eroded or switched out to an extent, right?
I just thought about something, really. I don't know if we really touched on, we probably touched on this, but it just came kind of full circle. Our families, the traditional families, help those gender roles not be blurred.
Yes.
So the less the traditional family is eroded,
yes,
the lines become more blurred.
Absolutely. And we don't want that, right? We need to not have blurred lines, because if we don't have blurred lines, we have clear expectations.
Yeah.
And both men and women can come to the table
Yeah.
and really see each other for who they are. And hopefully the desired outcome is union and marriage and a fruitful relationship.
Yeah.
And they can still have their careers.
Yeah.
But it's just that balance.
Yeah.
So I think tonight was a very good conversation. Again, I think we talked a lot. We covered a lot of different topics. I think at times we kind of deviated a little bit, but I do think that we kind of, again, course corrected and land the plane. The point that we're trying to drive home is there's still hope, there's still fight. So we'll be here for it, and we'll report back on it as it matures and evolves. And hopefully, we will find a common place to come together. So
We will.
this is a good show.
All right. Yeah.
Let's do our final cheers.
Cheers.